Hello, everybody. This is Jack Sheffield, Jack the Exam Guy, and again taking you through some isometrics. I am recording this video on December the 23rd, 2025. We recently had, our bi-monthly plumbing exam on the 10th of December of 2025. And boy, oh boy, these isometrics are getting more and more and more difficult. Feedback I'm getting from my students is just incredible as far as the level of difficulty. I actually expected the December exam to be easy, and it was on the isometrics, and it was anything but. We've really got to be diligent on these isometrics. We've got to follow the rules. Okay, I did have a student pass, and she just said, your voice was in my head. I just kept doing exactly what you said. You just got to follow the rules, do what it says, and you're going to get some points on these isometrics. Now you've really got to do the lookup questions. I really strongly suggest you take my course where we go through the manuals as well, because every point matters on this plumbing exam. It is by far the hardest exam of all the contractors' exams, and I don't know what happens. Some plumber really got somebody that works for the state mad at some point, and they're taking it out on you guys. This is a difficult exam. So, all right. So what you're looking at now, and this was based on some feedback that I got from this last exam, is they're throwing this drawing out there that has the soil stack and the vent stack in the middle. All right. And that makes it a little challenging, and one of my students just said, you know what? And he left. He did the isometrics. He realized he spent too much time on the isometrics and he walked out. And I was really sad to hear that, but that's just the way it is sometimes. It is an exhausting exam. You just got to really persevere. All right, part of this is just a test to see, you're going to see some real, tough things out there in the world, and they want to make sure that you're up to it. All right. So anyway, we're looking at the soil stack in the middle. All right. So that makes it a little more challenging, obviously, but we just follow the rules. Just follow the rules of the isometrics and you'll walk your way through it. Okay. So let's take a look. What's the first rule? Well, we're going to do largest to smallest, right? Okay, that's one thing that I always suggest that you do is you do the largest to the smallest, work your way from large to small. I'm going to get my pointer out here so I can point out. So here we go. We've got what's going to be the largest is going to be our soil stack. All right. And so we're going to draw our soil stack first. And then also the other thing is remember our directionals. Our directionals are very important to keep ourselves oriented. All right. You can draw these on your isometric paper. You can draw them on the actual plan view itself. And let's get ourselves oriented and let's go largest to smallest. All right. And vertical in real life is vertical on your drawing. Okay, so this soil stack, you may not do commercial work, multi-story, but so we need to know that a soil stack is, that main line that goes vertical from floor to floor to floor. Okay, that's going to pick up everything as it goes down the building. So we're going to vertical. It's a vertical line that goes straight up the building usually. So vertical in real life is vertical in a paper. So let's just go ahead and get started. Yeah, let's do that vertical line. And if you want to give this a shot, hit the pause button and see how you do. That's great. And then you can come back. Otherwise, I'm going to take you through step by step. So we do vertical in real life is vertical on your drawing. All right. And then the next thing, okay, now I'm actually now at this point, you should be relatively comfortable, doing some fixtures, doing these labs, these double labs, and and your wall clean out and everything. So I'm not going to go step by step drawing all that. Okay. However, what I want you to see is what we're drawing now is we're drawing this line, which is going north to south. Okay, as you see, I've drawn my directions on the drawing, north, south, east, and west, obviously. Okay, and north is this way, south is this way. So when this line runs in that direction on our isometric paper, and we throw our wall clean out in, we throw our labs in, and there we go, and make sure we have our direction of flow. I think you might see this doesn't quite connect, but you definitely want to connect it. Okay, so there you go. And once again, you leave room for your direction of flow. When you put that, you leave room for your direction of flow. All right. So that's where we're going to start. We've got our soil stack in, and then we're going to go ahead and do, once again, we're going to wait and do our vents at the end. Okay. So here we go. We've got this part drawn. So now we're going to have to go over here. So let's take a look and see what we got going on there. You want to give that a shot. Now, go ahead and do that and hit the pause button. But let's take a look right here. Now, this is where they're connecting. All right, they're connecting right here, and they and so we got to realize that that's right in that area right there. Before it gets to the soil stack is where we're going to connect in on the actual fixtures on that floor. So here we go. We are going to go. That is going to the west. Right, this is going to the west, so we're going to go west, and we're putting our little direction of flow here, okay? And now I'm going to the east as well. Now, what do we have here? We have two lines crossing. This is something that has just come up recently, showing the breaks in your cross lines. All right, so this is kind of a new development. So be aware of that. I had a student, he didn't pass, and he went to his review, and he said, they keep talking about showing breaks in the lines, and I had not heard of that before. And son of a gun, that, and then I talked with another student who said, yeah, it was in the instructions. All right, so that's another point. Read those instructions, because these things do change. So in the instructions, it said, show the breaks in the cross lines. All right, so we need to show that that is not connecting here to our soil stack. That's one of the things that makes it makes these, center soil stack drawings very challenging. Okay, because it's going to be impossible to draw this without having lines crossed. So we're stopping here. We're picking up. Okay, and we're going to show that. And we got these little, see these little lines right there that we're going to show. There you go. So you can do it a little curved if you want, or something like that. But basically, we're showing that these lines do not across each other. Now, I guess in reality, it might be better to show, since this is actually in the front of this drawing, you might want to take your soil stack, and that would be the one that you show broken. But either way, they can't match, and for these purposes, I'm going to go ahead and show it this way. I don't think it would make a whole lot of difference one way or the other, but we're showing the break in the lines, so they do not connect right there. Okay. And now we're going to jump ahead, and we're just going to go ahead. Once again, at this point, I'm not going to show you step by step how to do these fixtures. So let's just throw these fixtures in. Okay, so on this left-hand side, we have our floor clean out. Now, this one was a wall clean out. This one's a floor clean out. All right, and we have our wall water closet, and we have our urinal. They're basically going to look the same. Okay, very similar. You could do it with the urinal a little bit higher if you want, but I don't think that's that big of a deal. Okay, so we've got all of our fixtures on this side, and then we're going to have all of our fixtures on this side. All right, pretty standard stuff. Wall water closet, and then we have, once again, another floor clean out. So we're going to come up out of the floor. And remember, make sure you're showing all your directions of flow like you're supposed to, and then we went ahead and showed our vent. Now, I didn't show the line breaking on the vent because I don't think that's going to be that important. We know that vent lines and when we're crossing drain lines, they're not going to connect. So I'm not going to show that break. But I want you to read those directions and see what they tell you on the directions. If they say that you've got to show breaks in the vent lines as well as the drain lines, then of course that's what you got to do. Okay, so there we go. We're showing the break in the lines. We've got now the vent stack, once again, vertical in real life is vertical on your paper, and it's just to the east of your soil stack. So we're going to throw that baby in there, and then we're going to do the rest of our venting. Once again, at this point, you should be pretty comfortable doing your venting. and we'll go ahead and do, the venting for this one. Now these vents, the way they connect on this drawing is not exactly the way you're going to see it on your isometric drawing on the exam. You're going to have little circles right here. Wherever a vent is going to connect, you're going to have a little circle. But for our purposes, this is fine. So we see that these two lavs are connected, and they go back to our vent stack. Okay, so we're gonna do this one, and now let's do the other side. Okay, so we have our east to west. Remember, this line, this vent line in real life is going to be parallel to this drain line in real life. Okay, up in the ceiling there. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and connect it everywhere that they show. It looks like they show it all being connected right there, and we just do our verticals right there. Very good. Okay, so I'm not going to, now this is the 22nd and the 23rd floor, and I'm not going to, I'm just going to kind of leave you right here, and I want you to try to go ahead and try to figure this out. Try to figure out how to get um, both floors on here. Now, I did attempt to go ahead and put this one down here. I put this line down here and my fixtures and everything, and then I went with this line, and I realized that this line now was going to cross here again. I was going to have, oh my gosh, I got to cross that line again with this. So what I would suggest you do, if that's going to happen, maybe you could modify a little bit, and you could maybe shorten this baby up a little bit, and so it wouldn't cross again. Because whenever you got those crossing lines, it's going to be, so actually I would want to start over once I realize that. And that's one reason why you sketch it out a little bit before you get started, just to make sure that you can fit everything in. I hope that made sense, because if I drop that down to about right there, look at that, it's going to cross this line again. So we got to figure out how to keep, crossing those lines as much as possible, keep these floors separate so they don't run into each other. But but when you do cross lines, you're going to have to use something like that. So try to get these floors so one floor does not run into the other. Now, I probably could have snuck this up a little bit higher on the paper and not gone so high with my vent. Okay. And what have you. So it's a little bit tricky. These things, you have to practice them. Try this one a couple of different times, but try to get both floors on here without intersecting into each other, so you only have a minimum amount of this kind of thing going on right here. Okay, so what you can do is when you do your drawing, send it to me. You can email it to me at jacktheexamguy.com. Actually, it's jacktheexamguy@gmail.com. Okay, my website is jacktheexamguy.com if you want to take a look at some more of the isometric drawings and possibly enroll in the course if you haven't already. If you have enrolled in the course, I appreciate your business. And once again, now that you know how to do these drawings like this, you're not going to let anybody tell you you don't know Jack, because now you do. Thank you so much for listening.